welcome Kristen Vogt.
Hello, as you know, my name is Kristen. I am 34 years old and I struggle with complex post-traumatic stress disorder, bipolar, dissociative disorder, and I have an eating disorder. In sharing my recovery story with you, I'd like to be completely open and honest. In doing so, I believe it can only help others in their journey and assist others to better understand those that they know who are also struggling. In saying all of that, I was first diagnosed when I was 13 years old and had my first suicide attempt. I tried to strangle myself from the pole in my closet. When I was 9 years old, I first began engaging in self-harm behaviors. At that age, it looked a lot like scratching at myself with anything sharp I could find in my playroom in the attic, which also served as my mom's sewing room. Behaviors escalated as I got older, and when I was 11 years old, I began engaging in bulimic behaviors. I've had many, many psychiatric hospitalizations over the years, far too many to count, with the last hospitalization being in the fall of 2021 on an eating disorder unit with an additional respite stay at a crisis residence just over a month ago. That's the thing about mental illness. It creeps up on us at times we least expect it, but what's most important is that we seek the help we need in that given moment because we certainly deserve it. I've tried many, many treatments over the years. I've had more rounds of electric shock therapy than I'll ever know. The first treatment being on my 18th birthday in 2006, with the last treatment being in 2019. I've had mobile therapy, tried dialectical behavioral therapy, cognitive behavioral therapy. I've been in residential treatment centers, a group home, extended acute care, and been with more therapists and psychiatrists than I'd care to mention. However, I've happily been with the same therapist now for almost 2 years and the same psychiatrist for over 5 years. Stability is so important with mental health recovery, and I'm closer to it now than I've ever been before. So what got me to this place? Sometimes mental illness is all genetics. Sometimes it is triggered by events. Sometimes it is a mix of both of these things. For me, it was both. I've had multiple traumas in my life, which have certainly disrupted my life. From as young as I can remember, starting as young as the age of 2 years old, my father sexually abused me until I was 9 years of age. He was physically abusive as well. His words were extremely hurtful. Growing up in my house was definitely frightening. When I was 11, I was molested by a man who later raped me when I was 13 years of age. 2 years later, at the age of 15, I was sexually abused for 9 months by a woman who worked at a sister camp I had gone to for 9 summers of my life. Then, at the ages of 19 and 23, I was assaulted by strangers in the community. Thankfully, nothing has happened since, and I pray to God it will never happen again. I hadn't dealt with many of those issues until very recently, and with many of these issues, I still have quite some work to do. So as a child, I was involved in a lot of activities. I did as much as I could to be out of my home. I played many instruments, was in every music ensemble possible. I played many sports. I was a Girl Scout, and most importantly, I walked myself about 20 blocks to church every Sunday. I'll get more into my faith and recovery in a bit, but let it be known, had I not had my Lord and Savior to walk beside me through this journey, I know for sure that I would not be standing here today. To get somewhat recent, in January 2021, I had gastric bypass surgery and it really messed me up mentally. It caused more of a struggle than I was already experiencing. My eating disorder flared up beyond belief and I became extremely depressed. I landed in a psychiatric hospital yet again from March until June 2021. For the 5 years prior, I was living in a not so great environment, and after that hospitalization, I ended up in a residential treatment program, a group home called Step by Step, where I lived for 4 months before I moved out on my own. Simultaneously, when I had left the hospital, a referral was made to the clubhouse of Lehigh County. At first, I was skeptical and I didn't know that it was the place for me. I would show up at 9 a.m. and leave by 12 p.m. in the beginning of my journey at the clubhouse. However, within a few weeks, I began showing up at 8 a.m. and staying until the end of our work order day at 4 p.m. The support I receive at Clubhouse is invaluable. The last job I had was over 3.5 years ago when I worked in the counseling field. Despite my mental health struggles, I have a master's in counseling and certifications in child life, music therapy, and counseling. So when I started going to Clubhouse, it wasn't really a goal to get a job. It seemed out of reach. However, things happened. There was a woman from the Advocacy Alliance that came in to conduct a survey on services and told me she liked my energy and wanted me to work for her. And my gut reaction was that I wasn't capable of working. But yet after 3.5 years, I was able to obtain a job. Corey, a staff at the clubhouse, helped me to figure out how to get connected with a WIPA counselor and to get an in-depth explanation of how benefits are infected and how working affects my benefits and how to correctly submit pay to Social Security and other agencies. The clubhouse prepared me for work in many ways, and more ways than I can even tell you. The tasks we complete on a daily basis to keep the house running have given me purpose and stability that have helped me and prepared me for my current work schedule. I am so grateful to the clubhouse, the staff, and all the members who support me in all that I do and all that I will do. And in return, I am so grateful to be able to support them as well. When I moved to my own apartment back in November, I started attending a new support group at a new church called Celebrate Recovery, a 12-step faith-based recovery group at Trinity Wesleyan Church. I loved it so much that first Friday night I started attending church there that next Sunday morning. My life began to change for the better. I had always been hopeful I'd find a home in another church, but I wasn't sure when it would happen. You see, I belonged to a church near Bath, up the road. However, one of the individuals who assaulted me began attending there, and I felt very unsafe. I stopped attending for obvious reasons, and I lost my supportive community, and I lost my closeness with God. But my relationship has since been mended, and God has taken a front seat in my life. On May 29th, 2022, I had my adult baptism. This day was absolutely amazing in every way possible. I was forgiven of sin, brought closer to God, and I was given a new chance at an even better life. I was made new. I chose to get baptized as my life had become unmanageable. I knew I needed change, and I needed a fresh start. The day I was baptized was a new beginning I longed for. In Celebrate Recovery, we have chips for our celebration dates in recovery. And just this past Friday night at Celebrate Recovery, I received my 30-day chip for 30 long days in recovery. 30 days of no self-sabotaging behaviors. And that means this: no self-harm, no acts of bulimia, no suicidal tendencies, just 30 days of healing and recovery. It may not seem like a long time, but it's a new beginning, and I will persevere. In 30 more days, I know I'll receive my 60-day chip, and from there, my 90. It will only get better from here. I have support in my life now. Support like I can say I've never had in my entire life. And I owe it to God, my church family, and to the clubhouse of Lehigh County. I am beyond grateful. When these supports entered my life, I was able to do things I was never able to do before. For an example, as mentioned, one of the people who assaulted me growing up was my father. It started when I was 2 years of age and didn't end until I was 9 years old. When I was 18, I had the opportunity to bring the case to court. However, I was unable to speak about any of the details, and the case quickly got dropped. In the beginning of this past year, I was able to open up a case against my father. Along with the support of Corey, the staff at the clubhouse, and my therapist, and a victim advocate, I was able to give a statement to the detective about what had happened. And just a month later, I opened up to the district attorney for 2.5 very long hours and gave every gruesome detail I could. As painful as it was, I had strength in me I never had before, and that is progress. While the case got dropped due to lack of physical evidence, I spoke my story. I gave that little girl her voice back, and for that, I am proud. Mental health recovery is not a journey to walk alone. If you are struggling, please know you can always reach out to others for assistance. They are here to help. It may not feel like it when you're in the midst of your struggle, but truly, people do want to help us. I want to help, and this is why I share my story, to let others know there is hope and there is light, and it will get better. Now, it always won't be sunshine and rainbows, and there will be difficult times, but the great thing about it is that it always subsides. And while you're struggling in it, you have the Lord lifting you up, and all your friends and family, which is your friends who become your family, who care about you to give you a boost when you are struggling to see the light. Look to your wonderful pastor, as you know he is a great advocate and supporter of the mental health community, and I have no doubt he'd listen if you asked him. Thank you so much for having me here today. It was a true honor to share part of my story with you. If you ever want to talk more, please reach out to me. I am always a message away.